What's good, Chaotic Nation? Your boy Chaos here, coach of your Detroit Red Wingulls, bringing you a final video for the RGBL season 14. I thought I would do what I did last season on Twitter on a video this time around, to kind of give me some accolades and some final thoughts on the team and what the team has been done. So this is going to be very similar to that, and I'm going to kind of explain why everything got certain accolades. Some of them are very straightforward because it's kills and kills per death ratio, so it's just that one, just kind of statistics that happen. So I like to share those. I like to see what happened and the statistics and stuff, and actually they're kind of interesting, so we'll get to those at the end. But let's start off with our first category, which is the team captain. Now this one was self-explanatory. We kind of chose a team captain at the beginning of the season with our Terra captain, and so Sceptile was a Pokemon that was brought every single week to the battle. It's run a variety of sets and try to make itself work. Most of the time it did not work out the way we wanted it to. We got it to actually work by the end of the season. I just didn't click Swords Dance a second time, so that's one of the things from last week's battle that I should have done differently. Is I should have clicked Swords Dance instead of clicking an attacking move on the Moltres. So +2 Sceptile sweeps the whole team, and there was no choice scarf items or anything like that. So if I had +2 Sceptile, I get a 6-0 sweep last week, which would have been a really good way to end the season on a positive note. So Sceptile can do work, and it was just something reliable this season. Vikavolt the same, very much the same. That's why it's down below. That's kind of like the runner-up or second place for these categories. And Vikavolt was really helpful to secure the win first week of the season, the only win of the season, which kind of feels sad to say, only one win in a season, but it was very pivotal in that moment. Honestly, it could have been the Terra captain of this team. It probably should have been the Terra captain of this team, but Sceptile did play the role really well, and I don't really regret that. We wanted to make it work, and I stuck with Sceptile, and we made it work by the end of the season. It just, I didn't pilot it correctly, so that was the one mistake we made. But great Pokemon. I had fun with the Terra captain this season, and I had a great time using Sceptile. Burden is such a really cool bring, especially in these lower tiers where these Pokemon can be useful. Sceptile still had to use like Swords Dance and Nasty Plot and those kinds of things and run off a weakness policy to try to make it useful, because it's not the strongest Pokemon, and that's the really hard part about Scarlet and Violet. It's just the power creep, and this Pokemon really tried its best with its Terra typing and made it work. Made it work really well once I figured out how to use it. Next category is the best free agent. So this was a tough choice for me, but ultimately I went with Entei because it's what I wanted to run. Entei put a lot of pressure on the opponents. It was something I brought every single week after I required it. In, I think week 5 was the first week it was able to come. So it was something that came every single week at that point on. I just was a really reliable Pokemon, can do a lot of damage, and they always had to be worried about it because Choice Banded Extreme Speed is kind of crazy. The other thing that I really was happy about with our free agency trades was the trade for Espeon. It was something that was a little niche and very late into the season, but Magic Bounce was my best option at that point in time to get Azors off the field. Now, there were some things with Tidy Up and stuff, but I think Magic Bounce was the better option here, and that Psychic typing was really helpful on the team. So I think Espeon did play its role really, really well. That's why it's here on the second place. Honestly, the reason we have the second place on the screen is because I wanted to talk about Espeon in the best free agent spot, but I couldn't in good faith put it here when Entei exists on this team. This was a great Pokemon. I think these two really brought a lot to the team at the end of the season, and I really wish I started off the season with them because they would have made our team a lot better earlier on in the battle and in the seasons in general. They were very much needed, and I spent a lot of time prepping for Entei, so having that be on my team from the beginning would have saved me a lot of headaches with some of the team slots I made earlier, and some of the picks I chose like Flareon and Murkrow, which didn't work out for the team. I would have made those not be on the team at all. We're gonna go right to that, which is the biggest bust of the team, and I could say it is Flareon and it is Murkrow because I didn't use them at all, but the biggest bust I feel like is Weezing. It feels like it has a lot of really good potential, but this Pokemon is so hard to play with, in my opinion, because it needs to be
what Galarian Weezing was, which is a fairy type, to make it really useful. The Piranha Poison type is great, but its Levitate ability gets rid of the poison the Toxic Spikes pick up. Its other ability, Neutralizing Gas, is awesome. There's just not a lot of use for it in this tier. I feel like there's some use for it, and it's a nice niche, but we just couldn't find a niche with Weezing. There was no good matchups for it. Even the week I brought it, it didn't really have a good matchup that week, so it was really a bust. And second on this one is Comfey, for a very good reason. I used it as my #1 overall pick. I learned a lot through the draft this season, and Comfey was one of the big things that I learned from, because I never used this thing. I had it because I didn't want to face it, which is nice and good for a later pick, but early on I really needed to go with something like Entei. That would have been a really good team. I really would have loved to see the team if I drafted Entei first round, because it was still on the board till round 4, and I just did not draft it. So it's been really nice to see that. I actually did try to do some trades with these two Pokemon because I saw that they were lower members of the team. I wanted to grab Cryogonal from a team for a Rapid Spinner, and these were two options that I had to trade for it. That team also had I forget, Diancie, so these two for Cryogonal Diancie would have been a really good trade and made my team a lot better. That didn't pan out, and we didn't get it, so I was just so focused and worried on Comfey that facing it that I didn't think about how to use it. And it has some really cool sets. It's pretty good as a defensive Pokemon. Its ability is amazing. It's just, man, it's very niche, I feel like, and not the best option for our team. It might have made some of the teams think about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone really prepped for that Pokemon, and it kind of just became a wasted points on the team at that point. My best playmaker, we go to Vikavolt here. It's hard to not talk about Vikavolt in the best playmaker spot because of the week 1 matchup. That was a misclick by my opponent 100%. They definitely have that in the bag if they just protected a turn and swept from me, but with Vikavolt being so slow and me investing in its speed and agility, it made it so this Pokemon actually was really useful and became a really good staple of the team. Defensively, it worked out too. Offensively, it put pressure on things. It had a chance to kill a lot of different Pokemon. The really big hindrance for Vikavolt is its speed, unfortunately. And we were able to play around that with agility. Some weeks there was that. People had to think about that through the whole season. Is he going to be bringing agility Vikavolt again? Because that's really hard to deal with. If I'm max speed and I can take a hit, like Vikavolt is a pain to deal with, especially with its generally good coverage. Like Flash Cannon and Energy Ball in this thing made it really versatile. There were sets that I was running full defensive. There were sets that I ran full offensive. There were sets like the agility setup sweep that worked phenomenally. So it had a lot of really cool plays, and I really liked that as this Pokemon. Now there were some matches where it went down ultimately really fast, but I think every Pokemon on my team experienced that at some point, where they just went down for no reason whatsoever. And so that's kind of wash across the board because everybody had that. So it's really thinking about the positives of these members and what they did well. And Vikavolt, I think, was the best team playmaker of the game, brought a lot of situations in places where we could have won. Week 1 is a great example of that. It was the reason we won week 1, and really happy about that Pokemon. Sceptile, another really great playmaker. Depending on the set we ran, it could have done a lot of things. We saw it finally work last week, which was great. I wish I just let it sweep, and it would have been really, really nice to have Sceptile actually sweep. But we spent the whole season trying to get Sceptile to work, and there were a lot of really cool sets that we ran with Sceptile. Unfortunately, they just didn't ever pan out correctly. And they were pretty niche. They required some things to set up and required special conditions to get Sceptile in for free and to allow it to sweep. But ultimately, it made a lot of plays on the team. Even weeks where it didn't do much, there were times it switches in, like week 1, where it switched in and we didn't really need it, but it was still able to make some plays. So even being reliable at the point where I don't need you anymore, I'm using you as a sack or a free switch in for something else, to be able to do something with that, I really am happy with how Sceptile worked this season in that regard. Next, we got the most diverse Pokemon on the team. I think that goes to Cobalion. We showed a lot of different sets with Cobalion because Cobalion has just really good stats across the board, and it can be run a lot of different ways. One of my favorite sets definitely was the Rocky Helmet Max Defense, Max HP set. which we didn't get to see because Chinchino didn't show up with Tail Slap. That would have been hilarious to watch it kill itself and get free stealth rocks up. We also had fully specially offensive, we had fully physically offensive, we had defensive with body press, we had special defensive investment with assault vest. Like, this thing ran a lot of different sets. I don't think I brought it the same any single week. Sure, I think the spreads might have been the same with like max HP, max defense, but the move sets were completely different. Like, I ran quick attack on this thing for priority. It had a lot of variety to its sets, and I was really happy with how Cobalion worked out this season. I love the steel fighting typing, and I think you can do a lot with it. It's one of those things that can be hit or miss, but with Cobalion, I feel like it works really well. I've used Lucario in the past and have had bad experiences with it, but Cobalion seemed to work really well for the team, and I'm really happy with how it played out. Vikavolt, you already know. Agility, Volt Switch, Sticky Web, like, thing brought different sets every single week. Assault Vest even one week did live special hits, made it a nice bulky special wall, which, you know, it was cool. It was cool to see how much Vikavolt could do, and I really agree with respect for this Pokemon. I already like this Pokemon, but this might have made it one of my favorite Pokemon from that region, and just one of my favorite Bug and Electric types, respectively, not together because there's like a couple, but together, like, it might be up higher on my list now because of this season and how well it performed. Just really good Pokemon. Most fun sets. So I like to talk about fun sets. We've had a lot of really cool sets this season because I've been trying things out, but this is one of my favorite ones, and it showcases Grafaiai in a way that really I wanted to kind of use it for. It was something that could be a sweeper, especially in lower tiers with Unburden, but I feel like the Prankster set worked really well, specifically because I was using Sceptile every week. Now, it did give me the option not to bring Sceptile. I just chose never to do that because I thought the Prankster set was the better one, and the last season, the other Prankster set was okay. We only brought it 2 times, but this was the more fun set, and specifically for Glacier with the Endeavor set, because Prankster gives both of those priority. Endeavor's already priority, but it gives Endeavor priority, which is really cool because I can take a hit. I had a Focus Sash, I lived on one, so I was able to do that. No, it doesn't give Endeavor priority, I apologize, it does not. So I can take a hit from something faster than me, which was the plan with Trick Room and Glacier Trick Room. I get hit down to my Sash, I endure it. If I get rocks or something on the switch in, that's why it's there. But Endeavor brings it down to 1, and then I get to Copycat next turn, which is priority because of Prankster, and do a lot of damage on the reverse. It didn't work out that way. It would have been really cool to see it, and in theory, it was a great bring. This is one of the sets I wish I could have mocked a little bit because probably wouldn't end up bringing the set. Wouldn't have ended up bringing the set if we had done some mocks with it, but it was a really cool set. I really enjoyed it. I wish I got to use Grafaiai more. Just unfortunately for a Prankster mod, it doesn't get a lot of utility, and that's what it really needs. So would like to see Grafaiai get buffed maybe in the next generation with some good moves to really make use of that Prankster set, because I think it could be a really good Pokemon if it just got like Thunder Wave or something like that to go alongside of it. As you notice, the screen doesn't show a second place because there has to be a new one, and this is my second one, which is my honorable mention for most fun set, and that is Lemillion, my Goodra. This is the week 1 set, so this Goodra was really cool because it lived forever. That was the fun part. Max HP, max special attack. It wasn't that invested, but the whole point was to kind of keep it around and use rest as a way to get around my opponent from hitting me really, really good on the special sign. I actually got to use this really well because I was poisoned, I was on really low health, and I clicked rest, and I had a full Goodra again, back at full health with Chesto Berry, which I think really helped out with getting the late game set up. It's a really interesting set because most people don't like to use rest as a recovery method in these games, and I'm sure my opponent was like, okay, what kind of set is this? Because we didn't see the leftovers, we didn't see Assault Vest, obviously the damage wasn't there for that, and we obviously see special, so is it like some sort of like expert belt set? Is it trying to boost a certain item? Is it something for Draco? Could it be whiter to get rid of the Draco drops? No, it was Chesto Berry and rest, which was really cool. And we specifically ran Chesto Berry because we had all the opportunities to get burned, poison, those kinds of things in week 1, and we needed to make sure that didn't happen. So
the Chesto Berry was the option. I said I could run Lum, but I chose Chesto, and I think this was a really cool set because it really set up the end of that game really, really well. Very niche set, I feel like. I never ran Rescue for the rest of the season, so I had a lot of fun with this set, and I think it was very valuable in that match. Really proud of how I team built that first game, honestly, in general, and this was one of my favorite sets from that week. Next up, we got top kills, and this actually split between Sceptile and Vikavolt. I think they have the exact same kills. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's 8 kills apiece. There's 7 kills apiece, sorry. Both of them ended up with 7 kills each on the season. They were Pokemon that ended up doing really, really well. Vikavolt, I think, had, a 4 sweep. Sceptile got a couple sweeps there because of the last couple battles, so picking off things every now and then. Sceptile got a couple kills, I think most of the time when it was working. Times when it wasn't working, it just died, which is okay, but both of them died the same amount of times, which is every time they came into battle, besides the Vikavolt first turn, which makes the next category really easy to talk about, because best KD is definitely Vikavolt. This is my only Pokemon this season that went positive. And, well, I guess Sceptile technically did. Vikavolt had a differential of 1, Sceptile had a differential of 0. Everything else went negative in some way, shape, or form, which means they died more times than they killed. We had a bad season. We went 1-7, so like you're expecting me not to have a lot of things positive in the season, and that this is definitely where it shows up in the KD. We just couldn't get it done. But Vikavolt and Sceptile both really great options for this team, and definitely pulled their weight when it came to getting kills. So very happy with how they worked out, and couldn't say much more about them. The team MVP. So this is the final thing I have to talk about today, and that's the team MVP. I chose Cobalion, honestly. We've been having Sceptile and Vikavolt show this whole video, and it's actually Cobalion that I feel like was the best Pokemon because that versatility made it really good. It was exactly what we needed for a lot of our matches at the last moment. Often it was the last thing I slotted in, but its utility and like Stealth Rockets and being defensive or being offensive just made it a really good Pokemon this season. Now, obviously, Vikavolt or Sceptile could have got this role if they swept more. Vikavolt got, obviously, its 1-4-0 sweep in week 1. Sceptile could have had a 6-0. If Sceptile got that 6-0, I think Sceptile makes this position. And it was really hard to choose between all 3 of these because they were such pivotal Pokemon on the team this season. But at the end of the day, I feel like Cobalion really shone through. It was the win con in week 7, I think, one of the chances, and we just ended up losing to that the Mesprit, which is unfortunate. I just needed to be able to kill it with Entei, which I know now I couldn't have, but it was a win con in most of the weeks for a lot of reasons, and really enjoyed having it on the team. Made me really like this Pokemon and really like the typing that it has with the stats. It has good stats and not fully offensive. A defensive steel type, always a lot of fun. I think that's really where Lucario misses the bullet on this, is because it's more offensive. If it chose to be physical or special and then had the other bulk, it would be a really, really good Pokemon. It just unfortunately mixed, and that doesn't do much for it. Cobalion pulls off the mix because it's not meant to be an attacker, it's meant to be defensive, and I think that works really, really well for this typing, especially with Body Press being introduced. Makes this Pokemon super good as a defensive wall, and I think just Cobalion was the reason the team did a lot of the things it did well this season. Obviously supported by a great cast of a great team that we had. We did have some issues, obviously, and that's what it is. Mostly in the piloting department or not preparing for things, but often this thing was really good, and I just enjoyed using Cobalion this season. The only Pokemon I did not mention on my roster this whole video is Quagsire, so I guess the most forgettable Pokemon is Quagsire, and that's mostly because at the end of the day, everyone had a grass move. If I had a category for made people bring grass moves, Quagsire would be number 1 on that list, because we saw Solar Blade, we saw like Energy Ball and stuff. We saw these random things just thrown on for Quagsire, which was really annoying and made me stop bringing Quagsire. But it would have been really good otherwise. Unfortunately, it just grass moves were all around, especially with Trailblaze being on everything nowadays. I couldn't risk bringing Quagsire all over the place, but I think the team was pretty solid
I don't think we really did anything super wrong. The draft was not great with Comfey, obviously. I talked about that earlier. If we got Entei instead of Comfey, honestly, in keeping that Staraptor was a really good thing that we got rid of for Entei. I think we could have been better if we got rid of Comfey instead of Staraptor there. So keeping that on the team really was the biggest downfall of us. Me playing bad was another thing, but as I said in the last week, I'm really working on getting better at Draft League. I want to be better next season, and I really want to win, and not come into these seasons where I'm 2-6 or 1-7. I want to really start winning, and there were a lot of matches this season we could have won. The bullet seed thing that happened, I think week 2 or 3 with Sceptile. If I Terra grassed, bullet seeded, and got more than one hit, that was a dead Mimikyu, and we swept. Sceptile had a lot of options to sweep this season. It just never worked out. I'm trying to think, like, what was the other thing that, like, we didn't kill with another multi-hit move or something like that. Oh, we missed Stone Edge. That was another thing. So if we got things rolling our way, we were doing really, really well. When we had a good shot at winning this season. Unfortunately, that's not how the cards played out. I've had 2 really bad and unlucky seasons in a row. So I'm hoping that next season we can kind of shore that up a little bit through making the draft better. So I'm going to really focus on draft. I'm going to focus then on, once drafting is done, we're going to make sure we have everything we need, and then we're going to fix the team where we need to. Beyond that, I'm going to spend more time in Team Builder. I spend a lot of time in Team Builder already, but I need to spend more time in Team Builder considering more options. One of the things that really helped out with week 7 was I was focusing on what my opponent was going to bring. It was really helpful because they kind of brought the same set every week for the most part. So I was like, okay, they're probably going to bring this, and that was able to help build a really solid team. Unfortunately, the change with some of the free agency before that battle kind of screwed the plan up a little bit. But we still had a really good battle. I thought it was a well-fought fight, and I'm not upset about it at all. It's just we had to change some things, and we didn't change enough things to really consider that Mesprit, which was the problem, and the choice specs on it was really deadly for the team. So considering more of our opponents bringing, I think it's going to be something else I do with my team builders, and I definitely want to bring more mocks. So if you guys are interested in joining my front office, which if you don't know what the front office is, they are the people who help me with building the teams. They are helping me with draft. They're helping me make decisions about what to trade, what to do with my Pokemon, and they help me with battles. So if you're interested in team building with my help, and to help me team build, if you're interested in creating teams to battle me in mock battles with my league team, really would appreciate that too. And if you're interested in like helping draft and creating strategies, even if you don't want to battle, like you want to think about some strategies and what my opponent might be doing, that is also really helpful. So there's roles for you guys in my Detroit Red Wingulls Discord server. If you're interested, please leave a comment down below. Get a hold of me on Discord. I will invite you to specifically that community, so that way you can help me out there. Obviously, I can't make it open because I don't want my opponents in the community in that server, so we can't fully make it open. But if you're interested, you can let me know, and I'll be glad to have you for the next season. I know I've had a lot of really down and depressing dialogues throughout this season, mostly because I don't like losing. It's something I'm not really happy about, and sure, there could have been a lot of things that changed and we could have won some more battles. Ultimately this season, I feel like it was a lot of my fault. It wasn't as much in the hacks department as last season was. We don't want to talk about the 4 flinches. That was ridiculous, but we had a lot of opportunity and we just kind of threw it away. And that was just, it comes down to me. So I'm going to do better. I'm going to try to do better next season. I'm going to try to at least go positive. That's kind of my goal. Is like, I want to be positive next season. I've had 2 seasons where I've been negative. And if you've watched me play Draft League, like I have not had a lot of seasons where I've gone negative. These are the only 2 in recent memory. I think the only 2 seasons, period, I've ever gone negative in Draft League. Something's obviously wrong. I think it's Gen 8 and Terra is really difficult to play around, but I'm going to do my best to study it. I'm going to study some other Draft League. I'm going to do my best to create a good roster for next season and come out swinging, because I want that championship.
And I want to prove to these guys who probably are taking me lightly after 2 seasons that, hey, Chaos can play. And I want to be a threat that people are scared of, and not just somebody like, yeah, this is a guaranteed win. Because I feel like most people think I'm a guaranteed win at this point. Which isn't a great feeling at all. And sometimes it's like, why do I even try if I'm sure I'm going to lose? So, and I watched a really helpful video that said, if you have a 100% chance you're going to lose and you're going to lose every single time, you shouldn't play that battle. So I want a chance to win, and I want to make a good chance to win. So even if we have the worst matchup on paper, I want to make it work for us. So I'm going to do some studying, I'm going to do some research, I'm going to do some strategy building, and next season we're going to come out swinging. And I know I said that this season, I felt really good this season with the team. Looking back on it, I don't know what I was so confident in, but next season I have some strategies. We're going to do things completely different, and I'm really excited for that. So make sure you stay tuned, and you can do that by hitting that like button down below, subscribing to the channel for more, and if you're so inclined, leave the join button as well, so you can become a member of the channel. You get access to videos early, including draft league matches. So I might battle on a Monday, the video might not come out until Sunday. You get the video on Monday, not on Sunday, so you have a whole week ahead of everybody to watch it. You get videos early, you get a mascot, so I would appreciate that if you would want to support me that way. And also check out the links in the description. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Discord, Twitch. I have another YouTube channel, Invisible Corporation. So if you like Draft League, you definitely want to stay tuned here. But I have other Pokemon content that I'm doing on the channel, like Nuzlocke, trainer talks about different discussion topics of Pokemon, making other teams. I do a lot of team building stuff. That's one of the things I really enjoy about Pokemon. So if you're interested in that, and then of course I have a lot of other really fun content. If you like my personality, you like what we're doing here, please go check out the other stuff too. It's really appreciated by me. And hey, if you ever want to talk, like the live streams on Twitch and here, great places to just talk to me. I would appreciate that a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you think I rated the team correctly, if you have any other thoughts on the team, I'd love to hear about it. But that is it for RGBL Season 14. Unfortunately, no playoff contention. Good luck to the coaches who are still in it. A lot of them, actually I think all of them we played this season. All but one of the teams that made playoff we played this season. As I said, hardest schedule. And we definitely proved that. So, we even beat one of the teams in playoffs, so that's really cool. So please go check out the rest of the league. I know there's a few of the people who are in this league and making videos. Please go check them out. They're great guys. I have enjoyed playing with them the last 2 seasons, and I look forward to seeing what RGBL Season 15 holds. And I will catch you guys with the Detroit Red Wingulls back in action then. So until then, my name is Chaos. I'm signing off. Stay safe, and as always,